Hello everyone, my name is UltimoFive, and today we're going to be revisiting the Rubico Prime, the Obsidian shot. Rubico Prime is a prime version of Rubico and was released alongside Grand Prime and Chroma Prime. In order to obtain Rubico Prime, one must open a variety of relics that contain the receiver, barrel, stock, and blueprint in order to make it at the foundry. Requires a mastery rank of 12, comes with 2 V polarity slots plus a dash auxilia slot, and because of this the builds on this weapon will require 4 forma. And Rubico Prime excels in medium to extremely long range combat and deals with high leveled enemies of all factions in small to medium crowds, but mainly excels against single targets. The Rubico Prime had a lot of buffs when compared to the original Rubico in different areas. These stats would be a higher base damage, a higher critical chance, a higher status chance, a higher fire rate, faster reload speed, a severely reduced recoil, and a lower zoom distance. Advantages for the weapon would be that it has a very high critical chance, an extremely high critical multiplier, pinpoint accuracy while zoomed in, very low recoil, an innate 1 meter punch through, has 2 zoom modes which increases critical multiplier, and a very small shot combo requirement for snipers. Disadvantages, however, for the weapon would be that it has below average status chance, linear damage fall off, and is inaccurate beyond short range when fired from the hip. The elements for the Rubico Prime against the Corpus will be Viral Electricity. Electricity stuns the target for 3 seconds and deals 50% base damage per second for 6 seconds. The build's flex slots are Stormbringer or Prime Bane of Corpus, and works very well with just Viral if Stormbringer is taken out. Electricity is essentially on the build to help with robotic enemies in dealing more damage against them. However, with a Riven mod or critical delay to replace it, the difference isn't too noticeable. It works very well into the Steel Path as well, with just annihilating all Corpus class enemies without an issue. The elements for the Rubico Prime against the Corrupted and Grineer will be Viral Slash. Viral amplifies health damage by 100% for 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times for a total of 325%. Meanwhile, Slash's status effect is Bleed, and after 1 second it deals 35% of the base damage per second for 6 seconds, which bypasses armor. The build's flex slot is Prime Bane and Grineer and works extremely well in the late game. Simply stack up critical chance with headshot kills on the lower tiered enemies and then kill off the higher tiered enemies. There isn't really much else to add other than go nuts. The elements for the Rubico Prime against the Infested will be Gas. Gas deals 50% base damage per second for 6 seconds in a 3 meter radius and stacks up to 10 times to a total of 6 meters. The build's flex slot is Bladed Rounds and is kinda silly with how well it works. Even though Gas is better with status dominant weapons, it actually performs very well. And when a Gas proc does occur, it is a bit ridiculous with the amount of damage it deals. The elements for the Rubico Prime for Eidolon hunting will be Radiation. The build's flex slot is Hammer Shot and works very well against the Eidolons by just focusing on the radiation damage and enhanced crits with Vigilante supplies. Speed Trigger mixed with Wildfire are on the build to help with firing faster, with a slightly bigger clip to keep up the shot combo counter in order to do even more damage against the Eidolons. Mixed with Volt Prime or Chroma Prime, this weapon becomes a deadly sniper to take against these grand bosses. Vigilante supplies are Ambush Optics. In place of having no Auxilius mod, this will cost 1 to 2 more forma in order to have, but can help with the weapon's ammo and increase crit enhancements for Vigilante supplies, while Ambush Optics helps with reducing zoom. Critical Delay or Point Strike. In place of Galvanized Scope if one doesn't have access to the mod through arbitration, or prefers just flat critical chance. Split Chamber. In place of Galvanized Chamber if one doesn't have access to the mod through arbitration. Bane mods. In place of their primed counterparts if one doesn't have them. Hellfire, in place of Wildfire in the Eidolon hunting build if one would prefer flat radiation damage increase over having an extended magazine. However, this will require an extra forma unless one sacrifices Vigilante supplies. Bladed Rounds, in place of the build's Bane faction mod if one doesn't like using faction mods. If Bladed Rounds is already being used, then the next best mod would be Critical Delay or Point Strike. Vile Acceleration, in place of Speed Trigger in the Eidolon hunting build if one would prefer an even higher fire rate at the cost of less damage. There are several ways to enhance critical stats and damage for this weapon. For instance, for damage, Rhino's Roar, Nova's Molecular Prime which makes all sources of damage increase by 100% against primed enemies, Saren's Toxic Lash mixed with her Spores abilities, Mirage's Eclipse adds a massive damage bonus during the Dare and Light, Equinox's Rest and Rage in Dayform makes targets more vulnerable to damage, and Chroma's Vex Armor when health gets damage increases weapon damage. For critical stats, Harlow's Covenant can add up to 50% critical chance and 200% on headshots. Volt's Electric Shield when shot through adds a 200% critical damage multiplier. Nidus' Virulence with his Teaming Virulence augmentation grants a large increase of critical chance upon hitting 4 enemies. Zephyr's passive increases critical chance by 150% while airborne. Theodar's Kavat with Cat's Eye can give a 60% critical chance boost, and Smeed Kavat with Charm can give a 200% crit chance. Arcane Acceleration. On critical hit, 30% chance for 90% fire rate for 9 seconds. Arcane Momentum, on critical hit, 60% chance for 150% reload speed to snipers for 12 seconds. Arcane Primary Charger, on melee kill, 30% chance for 300% damage of primary weapons for 12 seconds. Arcane Rage, upon getting a headshot, 15% chance for 180% damage of primary weapons for 24 seconds. Arcane Arachne, on wall latch, 150% damage for 30 seconds. Primary Deadhead, on primary headshot kill, 120% primary weapon damage for 24 seconds, which stacks up to 3 times and includes a 30% headshot multiplier and 50% reduced weapon recoil. And Primary Merciless, on kill, 30% damage for 4 seconds, which stacks up to 12 times and comes with 30% reload speed and 100% max ammo. This arcane is mainly going to be used for hunting to help with the reload speed. When you get your hands on a Riven for this weapon, the flex slot to replace will be what was previously discussed before. This may require 1 to 2 more Forma in order to maximize damage output with the Rubico Prime, one will need to get lucky and get some nice stats. My ideal stats would be fire rate, critical damage, critical chance, and negative zoom or weapon recoil. For Eidolon hunting, my ideal hunting stats would be damage, multi-shot, critical chance, and negative zoom. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more guides on Warframe, please click the like and sub buttons to let me know. And as per usual, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.